And they
That's
cooked
not true.
the intelligence.
Putin wanted Trump to win.
No,
Putin
did you read the report? Okay, so if you had read the report, you would have known that Putin had no preference who won.
That's not true.
Okay,
Literally,
you obviously didn't read the report.
That actually has nothing to do with this.
Yes, it does.
Well, that's one of the main points in the report.
The report is erroneous.
Why?
No.
Well,
you didn't read?
Because
no, Jessica,
you guys are literally going back.
I'm sick of it. We spent years, 6 figures worth of
You're
legal
saying
bills
that Putin
for low-level staffers.
That the intel, our intel community and the rest of the world.
Jessica Tarlov was falling apart right before our eyes on live TV, fumbling over her words, and desperately trying to overpower Tulsi Gabbard's explosive revelations about Russiagate. The catch? She hadn't even bothered to read the report she was so eager to argue about. This is a snapshot of today's left, full of outrage with zero prep work, placing blind faith in whatever storyline is fed to them that day. And we're not talking about some trivial point here. This is the very report that dismantles the long-standing accusation of Donald Trump being a Russian puppet. The narrative that media spoon-fed us for years is disintegrating, right before our eyes, and those who propagated it are struggling. When your final stand is Jessica Tarlov, attempting to shout over Kellyanne Conway, you realize the debate is already a lost cause. But before we delve into the whole story, let us know where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay updated. Watching them scramble almost evokes pity. Almost. For years, the unquestioned narrative was that Trump colluded with the Kremlin. But as truths unfold, the real collusion doesn't look anything like what they peddled. During this clash, Tarlov attempted to bluff through her breakdown and failed in a big way.
Tarlov, did you read the report that Tulsi dropped?
I've read sections of it.
You haven't
I did not read all 200
report?
pages.
Well, it wasn't 200 pages. It was 44. Oh. That's why I read them, because it wasn't 200 pages. Did you know that the assessment said that Putin wanted Trump to win? Putin tried to help Trump win? Putin had blackmail on Trump, and that Putin tried colluding with the Trump campaign.
You're saying that Putin
for low-level staffers,
that the intel, our intel community and the rest of the world.
Donald Trump was ever president, including now when he's sending patriots to Ukraine and calling Putin.
Yeah, I think that Putin really loved it when he stood up there next to him in Helsinki and said, "Oh, he told me he didn't want to interfere in the election."
I don't really care who Putin wanted to win the election.
You just brought it up. You obviously do care.
No. It went on. Excuse me. The media needs to own up to being part of this lie for years. 2,000 minutes. That is 2 days out of a human being's life, just in coverage of this thing called Russian collusion.
Why are there 13 Russian nationals that were charged with interfering with the election if it wasn't true?
And that wasn't true. That wasn't what the report
said. Look at the Mueller report. Look at it.
The
Mueller
report
said about
was a joke.
No, it wasn't.
There was interference, Jessica. There was interference.
That's what we're talking about.
No.
And that's what Obama said.
There was interference, but you guys said for 2 years that there was collusion, there was blackmail,
and that
Trump preferred and tried to help Trump.
I think that people who said there was collusion, which is a made-up term anyway,
I'm not going to be besmirched as the campaign manager. I wasn't talking to people.
You're having a conversation by yourself.
No. I wasn't talking to people in Moscow. I was talking to people in Macomb County, Michigan, and Mecklenburg County, in North Carolina. That's how he won. He won because Hillary was a flawed candidate, and every time you guys have a candidate, you do all these shenanigans to try to stop Trump. I'm sick of it.
All right, we're going to get everybody else involved in the discussion.
This is the result when your entire perspective is hinged on outdated MSNBC headlines from 2018. You find yourself defending a storyline that's already disintegrated. Jessica Tarlov was holding on for dear life to the notion that the intelligence community is somehow beyond reproach, ignoring the fact that its senior officials have been caught blatantly peddling politically driven falsehoods. These are the very same individuals who endorsed that notorious letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian misinformation, a falsehood that conveniently obscured a major news story in the weeks leading up to the 2020 election. Once the truth was revealed, they acted as though it never occurred. Donald Trump revoked some of their security access for a reason, yet the media echoed their narrative as if it was unquestionable truth. Despite all this, Tarlov insists we should still trust the system. That's when Megyn Kelly entered the scene, calm, composed, and well-equipped with the facts. She took apart every point Tarlov mentioned, ones lifted straight from a report Jessica hadn't even read.
It was done at President Obama's direction, so they included bad information He rejected the concerns of CIA officers. It goes on to say that the Brennan overruled professionals on the determination that Putin aspired to help Trump, who said there's no direct evidence of this. There's none. Quote, we don't have direct information that Putin wanted to get Trump elected, and therefore the judgment that Putin was counting on Trump's victory should be removed from this ICA. Then the ICA excluded evidence from a Putin confidant that said the Russian president actually didn't care who won. So they included bad information in the report based on that flimsy, unsubstantiated, outdated BS. They overruled CIA analysts who were telling them this should come out. We don't have support for this. And then they ignored contradictory evidence that would have pushed them the other way, including this. A Putin confidant came to them and told a sensitive contact that, 1, Putin told him he did not care who won the election. 2, Putin had often outlined the weaknesses of both major candidates. And 3, Putin had asserted that in either case, quote, Russia was strategically placed to outmaneuver either one. All of this shows they had one mission, Matt, and one mission only. And that aspirational point that he was determined to help Trump and get Trump elected was a political hit job that they then leaked to the media immediately. They had one goal and one goal only, which was to under.
John Brennan did more than just oversee the intelligence evaluation. He personally selected analysts who would deliver the desired outcomes, dismissed opposing views within the agency, and leaked those conclusions to the media before the report was completed. The twist? The report itself indicates that Putin's closest advisors were indifferent to the winner of the 2016 election. They simply believed they could outmaneuver either candidate. Still, from the start, Brennan aggressively pushed the narrative that Putin wanted Trump, using it politically to discredit Trump before he even entered the Oval Office. Posts on X highlight declassified memos indicating that Barack Obama was informed of the Clinton campaign's strategy to link Trump to Russia. These same documents disclose how FBI informants like Igor Danchenko provided false information that bolstered the Steele dossier, now known to be filled with inaccuracies. This isn't some fringe conspiracy theory. It's written plainly and is under active federal investigation. But Brennan wasn't alone in this. As Tulsi Gabbard reveals, the corruption is widespread, and the mainstream media played a significant role in covering it all up.
Get outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, Politico. You'll see in these outlets either total and complete silence, or those who are choosing to cover it are not actually pointing to the documents and the revelations that were released, that we released last week and this week, exposing the truth about this manufactured intelligence assessment. Instead, they're saying, oh, well, President Obama's office says this is bizarre, or focusing on these other issues that have nothing to do with the core, very disturbing revelation that we released. And I can only conflate their silence or attempts at misdirection as one thing, is they're afraid to tell the truth, because if they tell the truth, they'll have to remind the American people that over those 4 years, both during President Trump's election, after the election, and in the years of President Trump's first administration, they furthered the lie. They printed what the deep state actors in the intelligence community and the John Brennans and James Clappers of the world told them to print. Some even won Pulitzer Prizes for it. So in order for them to cover this honestly and objectively and simply report the truth that we released in these documents, they would also have to admit their culpability in furthering this
This wasn't a simple error. It was a deliberate scheme to undermine Donald Trump. They crafted a false story and hid it once the truth came to light. Tulsi Gabbard's report builds on over 2,000 hours of interviews. The DOJ is currently examining criminal referrals for Brennan, Clapper, and Comey. Let's not forget how the media outlets that spread these falsehoods went on to win Pulitzer Prizes for their coverage. Kash Patel states that the entire Russiagate file will be released completely, unredacted, because the American public has a right to know the truth. Here it is. Obama initiated it, the media promoted it, and they all believed they'd escape scrutiny. So, I have to ask, should every media outlet that pushed the false Russiagate narrative be compelled to retract their stories? Or is that too much acknowledgement for them, Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're interested in more insightful analysis that cuts through the clutter, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out. It really supports us in continuing this work.